friends, welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, welcome. My name is Jessie, and I post new budgeting and lifestyle content here on my channel every single week. So if that's the kind of video you are interested in, I suggest you click that subscribe button so you never miss an upload. For today's video, I am going to be going over everything I spent in the first week of September. My budgeting week actually started the end of August. I always have my budgeting week go from Tuesday to Monday because my husband and I are both paid on Tuesday. Just makes sense that payday would be the first day of that budget week. So we started our budget all the way back on August 27th, and we took it actually all the way through the 3rd. When I was writing my budget, I did not even think about it, but Monday was a holiday. It was Labor Day, and therefore our office was not open, so we couldn't do payroll on Monday in order to be paid on Tuesday. We have a pretty tight turnaround in my company, so we did payroll when we went back into the office on Tuesday, and therefore we didn't get our paycheck until Wednesday. So we had an extra day kind of tacked on at the end of our budget week, which I failed to plan for, but we kind of made everything work. So let's just flip to my expense tracker so I can start talking about everything that we spent this week. I still need to set up my sinking funds page. Maybe we'll do that at some point this week. I'm a little bit behind with the holiday. Everything's a little bit off kilter. So I have my expense tracker here. If you are looking at these budget worksheets and thinking, wow, those are pretty, where can I get them? I have my Etsy shop linked down below where I sell my budget worksheets as printables. They are 8.5 by 11 size. You can download them, they're PDFs. You can then print them and use them in a binder like I do, or you can open them up with a tablet or an iPad, that sort of thing, and use them that way. I don't offer any physical products right now. It's just not feasible with my schedule right now to do that, but I do offer them as printables. If you would like to get them at a bit of a discount, you can join my channel membership at the tiers that have budget in the title. All of the information will be in the description box below. Feel free to check out those links, and maybe I will see you over in my membership. All right, let's talk about the spending. That's what we're here for. So August 27th through September 3rd, like I said, we ended up tacking on an extra day. It made a little bit of difference in terms of the spending, but not too terribly much, so don't worry. Let me go ahead and zoom in a little bit and we'll start talking about the expenses. Sorry about my shadow there. All right, so on the 27th, the day that we got paid, the very first thing I did as soon as our paycheck kind of hit the bank was make some transfers. I transferred $750 to our next month's bills category. So the category is bills, the amount $750. If you are not familiar with how I do my budget, I got us a month ahead on our bills. And so during September, we are putting away money for October's bills. So each week I just take an allotted amount and I move it from one account to the other. So it's sitting there waiting for October to roll around for me to pay October's bills. All of September's bills are paid with income I set aside in August. Being a month ahead has really been a game changer for my budget. I highly recommend if you can do that. I know it's not feasible for everyone. If you can manage to get yourself a month ahead, it is so rewarding. It feels really good to know that the money is there in the account. I don't have to stress about which bill gets paid with which paycheck this month because the money's already sitting there waiting for me. Even if you can just set aside like $20 a week and slowly build up the amount you need for a month ahead fund, I recommend that. I think it's just as important as an emergency fund for peace of mind. So that was the very first thing that I did. In addition to that, also on the 27th, I pulled out cash for my savings challenges. Another thing that I try to do every single week is put money away for short-term savings, things that I know are coming up throughout the year. I do that using savings challenges. I like to play games with my money. It makes budgeting fun. For me, having fun with my budget is how I am able to keep up with this budgeting process. It's kind of a long, tedious process every week, figuring out what money is going to go where. It would be much more fun to take all of my extra money and just go shopping. I'm a big shopping addict. The way that I keep myself motivated to save is by playing fun savings challenges, filming them here for YouTube. It's rewarding for me and it makes it fun. If your budgeting process is tedious and it's a chore and you hate doing it, you're going to be less likely to stick with it. So I always like to do savings challenges, and then I filter the money out of those savings challenges as I complete them and move them into short-term savings, which I call sinking funds. Things like our medical fund, where we pay for monthly prescriptions. We also have a sinking fund for subscriptions that we pay for on an annual basis. So it's all things that we plan to save the money for a year or less. And then we also do have long-term savings. Before I even sit down and start budgeting my paycheck budgets each week, I take a chunk of money and I put that right into long-term savings. I don't really talk about that too much on my channel. I try to keep those numbers private, but I'm always trying to focus on saving money. That is my number one priority right now. Now that we have paid off our credit cards, which just happened recently, it was a very exciting moment for me. I don't want to get back into credit card debt. And it's very important then that we save for things that might be coming down the pipeline so that when those things come up, we aren't counting on credit cards to make the ends meet. So that was very long-winded. I apologize. Apparently I am chatty today. Let's start talking about the actual spending that happened this week. And it was a lot, you guys. For all of my bluster that I just spouted, I ended up coming up kind of short this week. I did a lot of spending. I ended up having to take money out of my long-term savings for things that I didn't have money set aside for. And I ended up spending a lot from my sinking funds just to kind of make everything work. I'm not always perfect. In fact, I'm never perfect. This budgeting process is difficult sometimes. It's kind of hard to navigate occasionally. And I came up short this week. You will see when I kind of check in with my paycheck budget, which will be the next video that I sit down to film. I really had to kind of finagle some things to make everything work out to keep myself from relying on that credit card. So I definitely need to make a few changes to my budget. I'm going to talk about that in another video. But for now, let's just get back to what you're here for. And let me tell you about my grocery shopping. I spent a lot in groceries this week. The beginning of the week, I just went and kind of stocked us up on what we needed for here at home during the week. The amount that I spent was $106.45. It was a very reasonably sized grocery haul. I did film it for my channel. That video is already up, so if you missed that grocery haul, definitely go and check it out. That's kind of what I needed to get through the week. Closer to the end of the week, you're going to see another grocery trip that we did in preparation for our Labor Day camping weekend. There was some overspending there, but let's not get ahead of ourselves. On the 28th, my husband and I ordered from a little Chinese place that's local to us called China Club. The category for that is eating out. And the amount that we spent was $29.95. Okay. Actually, that was the 28th. I think I said the 28th and then I wrote the 27th. So whoopsie. We did no spend on the 29th. At least in terms of our regular weekly budget. We did spend from our sinking funds on the 29th. I'll talk about what we spent from our sinking funds kind of after I finish filling in this expense tracker. But nothing for this particular page to write down. On the 30th, however, we spent a lot. So on the morning of the 30th, we took my son for an eye exam. And after his eye exam, we went to lunch. We went to Jwhackers and grabbed some burgers. So that came out of eating out as well. And the amount that was spent there was $33.25. After we did that, we went home, we packed everything up, we grabbed a couple of Austin's friends, and we went camping. So, as we kind of left town and were driving to our camper, we stopped at a Dollar General to grab some drinks for the boys and some snacks. And you guys, I'm realizing that I missed a transaction, so I'll have to go back and things are going to be out of order, which I hate when that happens, but that's okay. So anyway, the Dollar General spending, we spent $3.80 on road trip snacks. Going back to the 28th. So yes, these are going to be out of order. I apologize if that makes you as crazy as it makes me. So sorry. On the 28th, we had a soccer game. And I needed money for tickets to get into said soccer game. And also we spent a little bit on concessions. So that came out of spending. And that was $20. So we just went back in time a little bit. Now we're going to jump back to the 30th. So we drove to the camper. We dropped the boys off at the camper to kind of get things set up. And my husband and I went to Walmart to pick up the groceries that we needed. This is where the overspending happened. So the amount that I'm going to write down here for groceries is actually not what we spent. We spent more than this. The amount I'm writing down here is $212.92. If you watched me set up my paycheck budget last week, I only budgeted $300 only. That's a lot of money to budget for groceries. I know this. But I spent more than what I budgeted. And in fact, when we went to Walmart, the amount we actually spent was $312.92. So I knew that I was going to be way over budget for my week. And so I took $100 right out of our long-term savings to cover some of these groceries to help make the ends meet. Remember what I said about how I did some overspending and I had to do some finagling? That's it, but that's not all. There was more money I took out of long-term savings as well. And the problem with that is that our long-term savings account, we are saving for something specific. And by relying on this long-term savings account to kind of make ends meet when I do overspending, I'm taking away from that goal. So I need to change some things and finagle some things a little bit. The problem that I keep encountering is that my sinking funds just kind of got started and there's not enough money in there for everything I need. So I don't know if I need to, obviously I need to spend less overall. That's something that I always struggle with. I'm a spender. I like to shop. I like to spend money. But also I need to maybe put some more money into my sinking funds, help things catch up a little bit, because what I do is I take money off the top of our paycheck and dump it into our long-term savings, and then I bring money in for our weekly budget. If I'm counting on the long-term savings to help when I come in over budget for this weekly budget, that indicates to me that I need to, number one, spend less, but number two, budget more. So instead of putting a bunch of money into long-term savings and then having to pull it back out, I should just funnel that money to my weekly budget instead, or to my sinking funds, really. So changes are coming. Very long-winded in this video. Hope you guys brought a drink. If you have a little drink with you while you're watching, leave me a comment down below. Let me know what you're drinking, what you're doing while you listen to me talk, if you are actually sitting and watching, or if you are cleaning your kitchen while you listen to me, or let me know what you're doing. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, getting back to this. So $212.92 is what I took from our weekly budget to pay for these groceries. Also on the 30th, while we were at Walmart, they have a little pretzel stand in there. So my husband and I grabbed some pretzels and cream cheese. That came out of our eating out budget. And the amount that we spent was $5.29. Okay. So that got us through up until Monday when we came home from our camping trip. We had a wonderful time, by the way. My son brought 2 of his friends with him and they just did all kinds of fun stuff. My husband and I just sort of relaxed, marked the end of summer. Austin went back to school starting on the 3rd, and hopefully it'll be a really, really great school year for him. On the 2nd, when we got home, we were exhausted after a long camping trip and unloading everything, so we ordered Pizza Hut because I did not feel like cooking, which seems to be a pattern for me. So that came out of eating out as well, and that was $40. And then I mentioned that we had an extra day tacked on to the end of our week. We use that day to do yet more eating out. We eat out a lot. We are in a very busy season of life right now, and that plays a part. Also, I'm pretty lazy about cooking, which plays a part. It just is what it is right now with soccer season and, you know, all the working full time and being busy and everything. We eat out a lot. It just is what keeps happening. So we just try our best to budget for it and prepare for it and know that this season of life is not going to last forever. We can focus on healthy home-cooked meals later on when we're less busy. All right, that's everything for this expense tracker. Let me pull in my calculator and add things up. Starting out with bills. You know what? Let me grab my highlighters and do all the highlighting, and then we'll add everything up. So for bills, we'll use blue. I like to go through and just highlight everything, make sure everything is covered, and I haven't forgotten anything. For our savings, our cash, I'll use this green. For groceries, we always do pink. So we had 1, 2 transactions for groceries. Eating out is yellow, and there's so many eating out transactions. Ugh. I really do feel guilty about how much we spend on eating out. It is what it is. All right, eating out. And then for spending, I use this purple color. These highlighters that I'm using, by the way, are the Zebra mild liners, which I absolutely love. They're my favorite highlighters. All right, so for bills, it was at $7.50. For the cash, it was at $200. For grocery, we had $106.45 plus $212.92 for a total of $319.37. So you can see that's over budget. I budgeted $300 for the week. So even with taking some money out of our long-term savings to cover some of the grocery spending, we still are over budget. So, oof, yikes. All right. For eating out, $29.85 plus $33.25 plus $5.29 plus 40 plus 32.70. $141.19. And then for spending, we had $23.80. All right, let's get everything added up. $750 plus $200 plus $319.37 plus $141.19 plus $23.80 is $1,434.36. And the amount we spent in just our variable categories for groceries, eating out, and spending, I always like to get that total separately, was $484.36. So yeah, it was a lot of money spent this week. Definitely had to go into our reserves and pull some money out to help make everything work out. I really need to kind of change things up to make that not keep happening, but that was that. Let's talk about the sinking funds, because there was a lot of money that came out of there as well. Like I said, I have not yet filled in the sinking funds worksheet with my starting balance. I need to do that. I just need to take my August worksheet and transfer the ending balance there to the beginning balance here, which I will do probably off camera. But let's talk about the transactions that have happened from our sinking funds. So if you're not familiar with the way I do sinking funds, throughout the month, I put everything on a credit card. And then at the end of the month, I pull money out of our sinking funds, which I tend to save in cash. I then deposit that money into the bank and pay the credit card. So sometimes what happens is I end the month and it turns out I don't have as much money in the sinking funds as what I spent. So maybe this isn't the best strategy, but when that happens, that's when I rely on that long-term savings. However, like I said, we are saving for something specific with those long-term savings. Eventually, that long-term savings is going to get spent, and then we won't have it to act as a cushion. So I need to get that kind of set and situated. All right. On the 28th, we spent from our pet sinking fund. We took Maple, my dog, to the groomer, and the amount that we spent was $51.20. She goes every month or every other month, just kind of depending on how often she needs a bath and her nails clipped. On the 29th, I used my medical sinking fund to pay for my prescriptions. And the amount that I spent was $19.19. Then on the 30th, I mentioned earlier in this video that we took Austin for an eye exam, and we heavily utilized our medical sinking fund for this. So our insurance covered the eye exam, but they did not cover, it was an extra $30 charge to have them take a picture of his eye to check for his eye health. We went ahead and opted to do that. So that was $30 for that. Okay. And then he went home that day with trial contact lenses to try out, make sure they fit and everything. We did end up ordering contacts, so you will see that come in here in a few, but before we ordered the contacts, while we were camping, Maple broke her harness. And so we had to go to PetSmart to get a new one. This was on 9/1. While we were at PetSmart, we bought a few more things, as we always do. The amount we spent was so much, $152.13. So that's going to come out of our pet sinking fund. which means I need to get some money in there to cover that. So I will be focusing heavily on adding extra money to our pet sinking fund this month. So on the 2nd, I ordered glasses for Austin from Firmoo. I worked with Firmoo on a YouTube video years ago. They have very inexpensive glasses. I believe they come from China. But I worked with them years ago, and ever since then, we always buy our glasses from them because they're really, really affordable. Especially now that Austin and I are both in contacts. We only use glasses when we're not wearing contacts, so we don't wear them all the time. So it just makes sense to get them cheaper. So I ordered him a pair of glasses on this day. The amount that was spent was $75.87. So that was glasses from Firmoo. And then, let's see, also on the 2nd, I pre-ordered a video game. So this is coming out of my hobbies sinking fund. I pre-ordered The Legend of Zelda: Echoes of Wisdom, which will be out later this month. The amount was $63.59. Also on the 2nd, while we were camping, we ran to Target for a few things that we needed. So I took this out of our shopping sinking fund. I'm writing this in the wrong line. The amount was $89.64. I messed this all up. This should say shopping because that is the fund. The amount was $89.64 and the description was Target. Made a mess of that, didn't I? And then on the 3rd, we ordered his contacts. So luckily our insurance did pay a small portion of this, but we ordered him a 90-day supply, and our portion of that was $53.61. So yeah, our medical sinking fund definitely got used quite a bit this week, as did our pet sinking fund. So you will probably, when you see me do my monthly savings challenge videos each week, I will probably be heavily focusing on savings challenges for those two funds. All right, you guys, that's everything for this video. I apologize for the length. I was especially chatty today. But if you liked it and you made it all the way to the end, take a minute, please, give it a thumbs up and leave me some sort of pet emoji down below. So that's just my way of knowing you made it all the way to the end. Know that I appreciate you so much for watching, and I will see you guys real soon for another video. Bye.